Hi everybody. I wanted to put out a little last minute video here. I was hoping to kind of record this over the span of the month, but October was incredibly busy for me. So this is going to be very last minute, not super edited or well put together unfortunately, but I wanted to read a story out of 8 Tales of Terror by Edgar Allan Poe. Last year, I read through this book for the first time, and it was incredibly nostalgic. I don't know why. I think like a lot of people, at least from around where I'm from, or maybe my age, I'm not sure what the common denominator is, but the only Edgar Allan Poe story I knew was The Raven. And that's the poem, but I read it. I would just read it on my way to work, and it just was so cozy, and it just hit the autumn vibe really well. And right now I'm babysitting my friend's cat, which is a straight up black cat with the whole yellow eyes and everything, which is super cozy. She's just asleep on my bed behind me. It's dark outside. It's 1 a.m. so it's the nice quiet hours of the day or the night, and it's Halloween, October 31st. So actually, you know what, give me 1 second. I'm going to open the window. Alright, I now have the window cracked open. The cat looks like she just went through war. She looks so frazzled. It's really cute actually. It's probably best to have it open for her anyway so she doesn't overheat in the night, but and if she gets cold she can snuggle. But anyway, I think it's just the perfect time to read one of these stories. They're really good. They're really scary, actually. I like scary stuff a lot, and these ones actually got to me. I don't remember them very well, so hopefully I'll be able to get scared again. Alright. Also, The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror is also really nostalgic. Just the first one, the first compilation of shorts is really good. And The Raven is actually in that, read by James Earl Jones. So anyway, let's get into this. The 1,000 injuries of fortune I had borne as best I could. But when he ventured upon insult, I vowed revenge. You, who so well know the nature of my soul, will not suppose, however, that I gave utterance to the threat. At length I would be avenged. This was a point definitely settled, but the very definitiveness with which it was resolved preluded the idea of risk. I must not only punish, but punish with impunity. A wrong is unredressed. When retribution overtakes its redresser. It is equally unredressed when the avenger fails to make himself felt as such to him who has done the wrong. It must be understood that neither by word nor deed had I given fortune cause to doubt my goodwill. I continued, as was my wont, to smile in his face, and he did not perceive that my smile now was at the thought of his immolation. He had a weak point, this Fortunato, although in other regards he was a man to be respected and even feared. He prided himself on his connoisseurship in wine. Few Italians have the true virtuoso spirit. For the most part, their enthusiasm is adopted to suit the time and opportunity, to practice imposture upon the British and Austrian millionaires. In painting and gemmery, Fortunato, like his countrymen, was a quack, but in the matter of old wines he was sincere. In this respect I did not differ from him materially. I was skillful in the Italian vintages myself, and bought largely whenever I could. It was about dusk, one evening during the supreme madness of the carnival season, that I encountered my friend. He accosted me with excessive warmth. for he had been drinking much. The man wore motley. He had on a tight-fitting party-striped dress, and his head was surmounted by the conical cap and bells. I was so pleased to see him that I had to turn the page. I was so pleased to see him that I thought I should never have done wringing his hand. I said to him, My dear Fortunato, you are luckily met. How remarkably well you are looking today. But I have received a pipe of what passes for Amontillado, and I have my doubts. How? Said he. Amontillado? A pipe? Impossible. And in the middle of the carnival. I have my doubts, I replied, and I was silly enough to pay the full Amontillado price without consulting you on the matter. They were not to be found, and I was fearful of losing a bargain. Amontillado? I have my doubts. Amontillado? And I must satisfy them. Amontillado? As you are engaged, I am on my way to Lucchesi. If anyone was a critical turn, it is he. He will tell me. Lucchesi cannot tell Amontillado from sherry, and yet some fools will have it that his taste is a match for your own. Come, let us go. Whither? To your vaults. My friend, no, I will not impose upon your good nature. I perceive you have an engagement. Lucchesi, I have no engagement. Come. My friend, no, it is not the engagement, but the severe cold with which I perceive you are afflicted. The vaults are insufferably damp. They are encrusted with niter. Let us go, nevertheless. The cold is merely nothing. Amontillado, you have been imposed upon, and as for Lucchesi, he cannot distinguish sherry from Amontillado. Thus speaking, Fortunato possessed himself of my arm, putting on a mask of black silk, and drawing a requelaire closely about my person, I suffered him to hurry me to my palazzo. There were no attendants at home. They had absconded to make merry in honor of the time. I had told them that I should not return until the morning, and had given them... Okay, sorry, I had to deal with something, so I'm going to retrack a little bit. I had told them that I should not return until the morning, and had given them explicit orders not to stir from the house. These orders were sufficient, I well knew, to ensure their immediate disappearance, once and all, as soon as my back was turned. I took from their sconces 2 flambeaux, and giving one to Fortunato, bowed him through several suites of rooms to the archway that led into the vaults. I passed down a long and winding staircase, requesting him to be cautious as he followed. We came at length to the foot of the descent, and stood together on the damp ground of the catacombs of the Montresors. Well, the gait of my friend was unsteady, and the bells upon his cap jingled as he strode. The pipe, said he? It is farther on, said I, but observe the white webwork which gleams from these cavern walls. He turned towards me, and looked into my eyes with 2 filmy orbs that distilled the rheum of intoxication. Niter? He asked at length. Niter, I replied. How long have you had that cough? There's like 17 O's. My poor friend found it impossible to reply for many minutes. It is nothing, he said at last. Come, I said with decision. We will go back. Your health is precious. You are rich, respected, admired, beloved. You are happy, as once I was. You are a man to be missed. For me it is no matter. We will go back. He will be ill, and I cannot be responsible. Besides, there is Lucchesi. Enough, he said. The cough is a mere nothing. It will not kill me. I shall not die of a cough. True, true, I replied. And, indeed, I had no intention of alarming you unnecessarily, but you should use all proper caution. A draught from this medoc will defend us from the damps. Here I knocked off his neck I knocked off the neck of a bottle, which I drew from a longer of its fellows that lay upon the mould. "Drink," I said, presenting him the wine. He raised it to his lips with a leer. He paused and nodded to me familiarly, while his bells jingled. "I drink," he said, "to the buried that repose around us, and I to your long life." He again took my arm and we proceeded. "These vaults," he said, "are extensive." "The Montressors," I replied, "were a great and numerous family." "I forget your arms." "A huge human foot door, and a field azure. The foot crushes a serpent rampant, whose fangs are embedded in the heel." "And the motto?" "Nemo me impune lecessit." "Good," he said. Wish I could tell you what that meant. I think it's Latin. The wine sparkled in his eyes and the bells jingled. His own fancy grew warm with the Medoc. I know it's not the word medic. I think it's said Medoc. I don't know. He was passed through walls of piled bones, with caskets and punctions intermingling into the inmost recesses of the catacombs. I paused again, and this time I made bold to seize Fortunato by an arm above the elbow. "The nitre," I said. "See, it increases. It hangs like moss upon the vaults. We are below the river's bed. The drops of moisture trickle among the bones. Come, we will go back ere it is too late. Your cough." "It is nothing," he said. "Let us go on. But first, another draught of the medic." I broke and reached him a flagon of de Grave. He emptied it at a breath. His eyes flashed with a fierce light. He laughed and threw the bottle upward in a gesticulation I did not understand. I looked at him in surprise. He repeated the movement, a grotesque one. "You do not comprehend," he said. "Not I," I replied. "Then you are not of the Brotherhood." "How? You are not of the Masons?" Yes, I said. Yes. "You? Impossible. A Mason?" "A Mason," I replied. "A sign," he said. "It is this," I answered, producing a trowel from beneath the folds of my roquelaire. "You jest," he exclaimed, recoiling a few paces. "But let us proceed to the Amontillado." "Be it so," I said, replacing the tool beneath the cloak, and again offering him my arm. He leaned upon it heavily. We continued our route in search of the Amontillado. We passed through a range of low arches, descended, passed on, and descending again, arriving at a deep crypt, in which the foulness of the air caused our flambeaux rather to glow than flame. At the most remote end of the crypt there appeared another less spacious. Its walls had been lined with human remains, piled to the vault overhead, in the fashion of the great catacombs of Paris. 3 sides of this interior crypt were still ornamented with this manner. From the 4th, the bones had been thrown down, and lay promiscuously upon the earth, forming at one point a mound of some size. Within the walls, thus exposed by this displacing of the bones, we perceived a still interior recess, in depth about 4 feet, in width 3, in height 6 or 7. It seemed to have been constructed for no especial use within itself, but formed merely the interval between 2 of the colossal supporters of the roof of the catacombs, and was backed by one of their circumscribing walls of solid granite. It was in vain that Fortunato, uplifting his dull torch, endeavored to pry into the depth of the recess. Its termination the feeble light did not enable us to see. "Proceed," I said. "Herein is the Amontillado. As for Lucchesi—" "He is an ignoramus," interrupted my friend, as he stepped unsteadily forward, while I followed immediately at his heels. In the instant he had reached the extremity of the niche, and finding his progress arrested by the rock, stood stupidly bewildered. A moment more, and I had fettered him to the granite. In its surface were 2 iron staples, distant from each other about 2 feet, horizontally. horizontally. Wow. From one of these depended a short chain, from the other a padlock. Throwing the links about his waist, it was but the work of a few seconds to secure it. He was too much astounded to resist. Withdrawing the key, I stepped back from the recess. "Pass your hand," I said, "over the wall. You cannot help feeling the niter. Indeed, it is very damp. Once more let me implore you to return." "No? Then I must positively leave you." But I must first render you all the little attentions in my power." "The Amontillado!" ejaculated my friend, not yet recovered from his astonishment. "True," I replied, "the Amontillado." As I said these words, I busied myself among the pile of bones of which I had before spoken. Throwing them aside, I soon uncovered a quantity of building stone and mortar. With these materials, and with the aid of my trowel, I began vigorously to wall the entrance of the niche. I had scarcely laid the first tier of the masonry when I discovered that the intoxications of Fortunato had in great measure worn off. The earliest indication I had of this was a low moaning cry from the depths of the recess. It was not the cry of the drunken man. There was then a long and obstinate silence. I laid the second tier, and the third, and the fourth, and then I heard the furious vibrations of the chain. The noise lasted for several minutes, during which, that I might hearken to it with the more satisfaction, I ceased my labors and sat down upon the bones. When at last the clanking subsided, I resumed the trowel, and finished without interruption the fifth, and sixth, and the seventh tier. The wall was now nearly upon a level with my breast. I again paused, and holding the flambeau over the mason work, threw a few feeble rays upon the figure within. A succession of loud and shrill screams, bursting suddenly from the throat of the chained form, seemed to thrust me violently back. For a brief moment I hesitated. I trembled. Unsheathing my rapier, I began to grope with it about the recess. But the thought of an instant reassured me. I placed my hand upon the solid fabric of the catacombs and felt satisfied. I approached the wall. I replied to the yells of him who clamored. I re-echoed. I aided. I surpassed them in volume and in strength. I did this, and the clamorer grew still. It was now midnight, and my task was drawing to a close. I had completed the eighth, the ninth, and the 10th tier. I had finished a portion of the last and the 11th. There remained but a single stone to be fitted and plastered in. I struggled with its weight. I placed it partially in its destined position. But now there came from out of the niche a low laugh that erected the hairs on the back of my head. It was succeeded by a sad voice, which I had difficulty in recognizing as that of the noble Fortunato. The voice said, "Ha ha ha, hee hee, a very good joke indeed, an excellent jest. We will have many a rich laugh about it at the palazzo. Hee hee hee, over our wine, hee hee hee." "The Amontillado," I said. "Ha ha, hee hee hee, ha ha, yes, the Amontillado. But is it not getting late? Will not they be awaiting us at the palazzo, the Lady Fortunato and the rest? Let us be gone." "Yes," I said, "let us be gone." "For the love of God, Montresor." "Yes," I said, "for the love of God." But to these words I hearkened in vain for a reply. I grew impatient. I called aloud, "Fortunato!" No answer. I called again, "Fortunato!" No answer still. I thrust a torch through the remaining aperture and let it fall within. There came forth in return only a jingling of the bells. My heart grew sick, on account of the dampness of the catacombs. I hastened to make an end to my labor. I forced the last stone into its position. I plastered it up. Against the new masonry, I re-erected the old rampart of bones. For the half of a century, no mortal has disturbed them. In peace requiescat. I love that story. It is absolutely horrifying, I think. And right on cue, I have The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror playing in the background, and the Raven one just came on. But I think the part for that story that really gets to me is at the end when his friend kind of just snaps and goes into denial and starts saying how it's a good joke and how he can let him out now. That breaks my heart. There's not a lot of context in what exactly his friend is like, except for being kind of arrogant. And I think, and I hope people would agree that burying someone alive in a catacomb after getting them drunk is a bit of a harsh punishment for being arrogant. But I know every story in that is so good, and there's one that's really disturbing that, yeah, I know. I'll read more of them for sure, but I wanted to get at least one out tonight for Halloween. And I wanted to do The Raven, just read that. It's not in the book, I don't think, because these are short stories, and I think The Raven is a poem. Yeah, Hop Frog is the one that really spooked me, the next one. And yeah, The Raven is not in this one, but in any case, I didn't end up doing The Raven because I feel like it's kind of cliche and everyone reads The Raven, so Edgar Allan Poe has a lot more spooky and disturbing stuff than that. Although The Raven is a mastercraft in horror and suspense, so it rightfully so deserves to be the often elected one. But in any case, I'm going to record some gameplay, I think, right now. So maybe do some Diablo. And yeah, have this uploaded if my internet doesn't give out. If the internet gives out, I probably won't have it uploaded to November 1st, which would make me so sad and angry. But if the internet works, I'll have this uploaded by the time people are waking up, probably 8 a.m. And I'm so excited. I want to end this video with a little, I don't know, Halloween has always been so important to me. Growing up, ever since I was a kid, I've always loved the colder weather and just the coziness that comes with the vibes of that. And so because of that, I just have a lot of memories that tie directly into Halloween, and really October, November, and December are just the best, but Halloween especially, it's like going to school. I remember one year I dressed up as Jack Sparrow when the pirate films were coming out. I remember dressing up as dragons, going from house to house with my friends, going to all the different neighborhoods, finding the rich neighborhoods. Unfortunately, it's not as celebrated these days nearly as much as it used to be, which really is unfortunate, but that's why, I don't know, I feel like as a kid, you kind of rely on other people to make the experience for you, and luckily I grew up in a place where people did, and as an adult, I feel like Halloween is a lot less celebrated, but now that I'm an adult, I can do it myself, like with stuff like this, and hopefully share it with other people that are looking for celebrating it as well. So I hope everyone has a very safe and a very happy Halloween. I'm so glad it's here. I'm so glad it's cold. I'm so glad it's just, it's really good, really cozy. I'm excited to play some spooky games for footage and to get this up and help people celebrate, and by celebrating myself. So yes, thank you all for watching. As always, hopefully we'll have some cool stuff come around in November and December. I have some video ideas I want to get out, and I really want the big video that I kind of want to help define what my channel is coming out in November, I think. I need to finish the script for it and get the footage, but I'm well along the way for both of those things. It's uploading stuff like this is really secondary. Like, yeah, it's a strong secondary, but it's secondary, and the gameplay stuff, like let's plays of like Space Marine and like Outlaws and all that, is very like filler for in between things. But the video I really hope to get out in November is the primary thing that I really want to get. Like that's the stuff I really want to say that I really think can maybe help people, and that because it's really helped me, and I want to share those thoughts. And I've looked for videos like it and have never found anything quite like it. So I'm really hopeful for that. And then after I get that one out and I know the process better, I'm really hoping that it'll translate into making more videos like that more quickly. So yeah, exciting stuff coming. And if you liked this, please like it so I know. I really just, for analytics, I really just go off the like ratio for videos, because the views don't always match up with the likes, but I never know like what's the reason for the views. I feel like I don't get enough views right now to use the viewership as a reliable source. Like I was getting like 10,000 views a video, then I got 20,000 on one. Like obviously that's significant, but going from like 7 to 8 or 7 to 10 is like not a huge, or 1 to 2 for that matter. It's not a huge thing. So it's mostly the likes. So leaving a like on a video really lets me know what you're enjoying and what you like. So please do that. Or just leave a comment, either one, or both. In any case, I'm rambling at this point, so I'm going to let you go. Again, have a very spooky, chilly, and happy Halloween. Please all stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.